But Kirkman, why? Because Rick, in the comics, Rick doesn't. The same thing happens. He doesn't kill him. He essentially imprisons him. But why is this so important? Why is this so important to keep him alive?
Well, I mean, this is a huge turning point in a long series of turning points for Rick Grimes. But this is him, you know, finally realizing that, you know, he has to choose a different way. Every major conflict in the history of The Walking Dead has ended with a huge death or someone dying, and this is him choosing life. This is him, you know, turning over a new leaf and deciding, you know, that there's a different way forward. And so, you know, to have that moment, you know, where he's, you know, slashing a throat, saving a guy's life, to have it so heightened, but, you know, it really marks time in a very important way and shows that from this point on, the stories are going to be very different.
Great. Well, and talking about that, Scott, can you tease anything to expect from season 9?
We're all dying to know.
We haven't got a script yet.
I can't say too much, or the
all-out peace.
No, after you.
just basically etiquette.
Yeah, that's all it is.
We have a new showrunner, and I don't want her to kill me, so I'm not going to say too much about it, other than the show evolves, which Robert was teeing up right there. They're facing different problems. They're facing different problems with each other, and the world itself will be very, very different.
Because it's hard to. People think like, oh, we've been with a storyline for a couple seasons, but it's really it's a relatively short period of time in their timeline. Not a lot of time has passed, so you have to imagine if you watch it all at once, like it actually moves pretty quickly for them. But I want to thank Lenny. Congratulations on the crossover. This is essentially.
I'm trying to steal that from Black Panther.
You can take that. I think you can.
Crossover. Did you get it?
You only had like
Just me then.
You only had like a week off in between shows.
I did. I had 6 days, and in those 6 days, I had to fly back to London to do something on a show that I was doing over there, then fly to LA to have our British Thanksgiving, where we thank you for getting rid of us. It's a nice thing. Loads of Brits around the table.
So glad we don't have to deal with those bastards across the pond anymore, isn't it?
The less British in the world, the better. So we do that, and then I had Thanksgiving, and then I had to fly to Austin to get started. And for the first few days when I was in Austin, I had to be hid out again. I was in the hotel and wasn't really allowed to come out until we did the announcement on the Sunday on Talking Dead.
Yeah, we did that, and you know, I remember at the time you were a little discombobulated because you were still like coming off that show and then transferring. But I ran into you in January at an event, and I said, "How's it going?" And you said, "It's been unbelievable." You said you've had an amazing time. You loved the cast, and it far exceeded your expectations.
It did, yeah. I mean, the good thing about it is that with the show moving from Mexico to Austin, everybody was in transition. So I didn't feel like it's only me who's coming in as the new guy. There was changes for everybody, and it really brought us all together and got everybody pulling in the same direction. And it's been an absolute joy, and it's a weird one, really. I was saying to Andy just the other day that now, because everybody on The Walking Dead is going to be heading back to Atlanta in about a week's time. Andy, I think you go tomorrow or something, don't you? This is the moment when I'm going to realise that I'm not on The Walking Dead anymore. The other time I got distracted by the show I was doing, but now I'm getting text messages and we're all on a kind of internet kind of
it's the email
thing.
It's the email team.
Email.
Electronic mail, the wave of the future.
Internet. You see, I'm still in the apocalypse. Internet gone.
When I first had Andrew Lincoln read me the finale script, I got most excited that Eugene saves the day. He seized on an opportunity to keep as many people alive as he could and really helped get Negan captured. It never was a long con with this guy. For him, it's all about self-preservation. This is a man who only wanted to survive himself, and he would prefer it if other people didn't die, but if that happens, well, that's the price we have to pay within this world. So for him to save the day in the end, to get some self-fulfillment, out of that. He's still alive. He got to save other people's lives. Eugene gets to be the hero and actually do something useful with his pathetic life, and I enjoyed that.
Sabotage reaction card. Natalie Lovelace on Twitter. Eugene came through, all caps, 10 exclamation points. Tim Buntley on Twitter. Eugene from zero to hero, just like that. Jared 1227. Eugene, you are forgiven. We love you and your mullet again. Over the break, we asked you, has Eugene redeemed himself? 94% affirmative, 6% negative. So everyone's back on Team Eugene. When did you come up with the idea for the twist, and when did you tell Josh?
It was a very long time ago. It was before Eugene was taken. We had that storyline. We knew that was going to be sort of the final master stroke. We did not tell him. Because Eugene, it was very late that Eugene sort of made up his mind on this thing. Eugene was fighting something that was in him. He was always about self-preservation. He was always about keeping himself alive. But he met Abraham Ford, and he met Rosita, and those people infected him with humanity. And he kept on trying to fight it. He was trying to drink his way out of it. He couldn't sleep. But in the end, the people around him affected him too deeply.
Lenny, what do you think is the catalyst for Morgan just deciding to head west?
I think it's partly the line that he says quite early on at Hilltop to Rick, where he says, "We're worse than we were," where he just says that what he had to do in order to get through this war was more than he wanted it to be and more than he thought he could do. And it's a bit like that speech that Tommy Lee Jones has at the end of Men in Black, where he sat with Will Smith and he kind of goes, lists all the terrible things that he's done. And I imagine Morgan kind of going, I've reached into a man's belly and pulled his insides out. It's time for me to go.
Right. There's no Men in Black flashy thing. Rick. Yeah.